You don't wake up to the sound of an alarm or the singing of birds. You wake up because the Wyoming cold is trying to gnaw through your bones through a worn-out blanket that smells of horse sweat and old fear. Your eyelids are glued shut with salt and the dust from yesterday's trek. The first breath burns your lungs. This air tastes like broken glass and the cold ash of a campfire you were stirring with an iron rod just an hour ago. You lie motionless for exactly 5 seconds. This is the only time in 24 hours when you belong to no one. Not the ranch owner, not the herd, not the law, and not the devil. 5 seconds of silence before the world collapses on you with its weight and demands its share. You feel every inch of your body, and every inch aches in its own way. An old rib fracture throbs in time with your heartbeat. The calluses on your palms feel like stone and are cracked deep, and your back feels like a red-hot rebar that's been shoved under your skin and left there to rust. You stand up. Your knees crunch like dry branches under the hooves of a frightened antelope. You don't look at the sky. It's too vast here. It crushes you, reminding you of what an ant you are in this soulless, indifferent wasteland. You look under your feet. Mud, manure, and dust. This is your element. This is your temple and your grave. Your skin is thick as the sole of an old boot, but it still remembers every bite of the wind, every burn of the sun. Your hands, they ceased to be just hands long ago. Now they're tools, extensions of the rope and the Winchester, capable of mending, shooting, killing, and saving, but never caressing. Every morning is a small resurrection. You open your eyes in the dark, and for a moment your mind is clear. But then the memories of the days that preceded this one wash over you like a wave of a cold stream. Yesterday's rodeo on a bull that didn't want to be branded. The screams and curses, the smell of singed wool, the death rattle of a coyote you shot because it was too close to the herd. All of this is woven into the fabric of your being, making you who you are and preventing you from becoming anyone else.
Breakfast isn't a ritual, it's fueling a machine. Black coffee so strong it could dissolve a horseshoe, and a piece of jerky that you chew for so long your jaws cramp up. The taste is bitter, earthy, with a metallic hint of blood. You don't talk to the others. What is there to talk about? That tomorrow will be the same? That Bill almost lost a finger yesterday when a rope lashed around his hand and his moans still echo in your ears? Words here are extra weight. You save them just like you save your ammunition. Every sound in the prairie matters, and idle chatter is a luxury you cannot afford. Then the saddle. It is your throne and your rack at the same time. It creaks when you sit on it, like an old ghost complaining about its fate. You tighten the cinch, and your horse, an old weathered gelding with wise, almost human eyes, exhales, trying to trick you, pretending it hurts. You slap him on the neck, and he whinnies softly. You love him more than any human you've met in the last 5 years. Why? Because he doesn't lie. He won't betray you for a fistful of gold coins. He won't defect to the outlaws. He won't leave you to die of a wound in the middle of nowhere. If he wants to kill you, he'll just throw you onto the rocks, honest and open, without malice. He is your life, your legs, your only partner in this desert. You check your revolver, a single-action Colt. 6 chambers, but you keep 5 loaded, for safety, so you don't blow your own vitals off when the horse stumbles. This piece of iron weighs nearly 3 pounds, and it is the only thing separating you from an unmarked brave in a ravine, where your bones will become feed for the vultures. You clean it every evening, more gently than you ever touched a woman, because how smoothly the firing pin works, how accurately the bullet lands, determines whether you see tomorrow's frosty dawn. It determines whether you return to town to spend your pittance of a wage on a swallow of cheap whiskey. This is your law, your judge, and your executioner. Your clothes are a second skin, faded denim soaked in sweat, dirt, and campfire smoke. They lost their shape long ago, but they gained character. Every seam, every patch, every tear tells its own story. It's the story of how you pushed through the brush, how an unbroken Mustang threw you, how you crawled through the mud to escape a bullet. This is your coat of arms, your battle flag.
And so the day begins. The creak of the saddle, the thud of hooves, the lowing of cattle. You are a cog in a massive, slow-moving machine of the drive. You are part of a landscape that hasn't changed in centuries. You are a cowboy, and this is your whole life.
And by noon, the sun becomes your enemy. It sears your eyes, turning the horizon into a shimmering mirage where the outlines of rocks and bushes dance, taking on bizarre shapes. And that's when the thoughts come. You try to drive them away, counting the heads of cattle, 112, 113. But memory is craftier. It sneaks up from the side like a coyote to a herd and bites into your mind. You remember 1865, the thunder of cannons at Richmond, that smell, the smell of scorched meat and wet wool that now haunts you in every herd, in every breath. You headed west to escape the blood, but you found that you brought it with you in the folds of your coat, in the folds of your heart. Do you remember that girl's face in Kentucky? You promised to be back in 6 months. 12 years have passed. Now you don't even remember the color of her eyes. Were they blue, like the sky before a storm, or brown, like river water? The image has worn away, like an old photograph faded in the sun. Your life has turned into an endless line, from horizon to horizon. You don't build houses, you sleep on the ground under stars that seem foreign and indifferent. You don't father children, you raise someone else's cattle, which tomorrow will go under the knife at the Chicago slaughterhouses to feed people you will never see and to whom you are absolutely irrelevant. You were simply a mechanism for moving meat from point A to point B. You feel like a ghost that hadn't had time to die yet. Your skin has become like parchment, your senses have dulled. The only thing you feel sharply is thirst. Not the thirst that a gulp of water from a canteen tasting of metal and rust can quench, but a thirst for something real. Meaning? Atonement? Or simply the end of a journey that seems endless and meaningless. You look for answers in the shimmering haze over the prairie, but there is only dust and shadows of the past. The shadows of your mistakes, your losses, your failed hopes. And they follow you relentlessly wherever you ride. You feel it in your skin before the first drop even hits the dusty clearing. The air grows thick as molasses and heavy as a gravestone. The birds go silent, huddling in the sparse brush. The horses begin to prick their ears, catching frequencies beyond human hearing, their bodies tensing in anticipation. You know that smell, the scent of ozone and encroaching death that the violent West brings with it. First comes the wind. It doesn't blow, it strikes. It carries sand that flays your face, turning skin into a bloody mess in mere seconds. The grit gets in your eyes, your mouth, your nose.
It crunches between your teeth like you're eating the earth itself. And then the sky splits open. This isn't just a storm. In the prairie, a thunderstorm is the wrath of a god who has run out of patience. A flash of lightning turns the night into a blinding white nightmare for a split second, carving every blade of grass and every stone out of the darkness. And in that ghastly light, you see 'em. 3,000 head of cattle. 3,000 living mountains of meat and horns, which was sleeping just a moment ago, now gripped by primal, pure madness. One flash, one sharp crack of thunder is enough to trigger a stampede, an avalanche of hundreds of tons of living wheat rushing toward you.
You don't think. You vault into the saddle. If you hesitate for a second, they'll crush you. Your body'll turn into mincemeat, ground into the dirt. You gallop into the very heart of the darkness. Your horse is heaving. He's no less terrified than you are, his muscles strained to the limit, but he trusts your spurs, your hand on the reins. Around you is a roar. It's not lowing. It's the sound of crumpling metal and breaking bones, the sound of an approaching apocalypse. You must outrun the herd, force the leaders to turn, mill this living vortex until they stop or plunge into a ravine, taking your season's wages and your life with them. Mud flies into your mouth, clogs your eyes. Rain drenches your face until you're nearly blind, mixing with sweat and tears if you could still cry. You scream, but your voice is a mosquito's buzz in the epicenter of an explosion. At one point, lightning strikes so close, you see St. Elmo's fire dancing on the cattle's horns, a ghostly blue glow, a harbinger of the supernatural. In that moment, you realize hell doesn't exist underground. It's right here, 6 feet above the soil, in the seat of your saddle, in the heart of the raging prairie.
You feel your heart beating in unison with the thundering of 10,000 hooves. It's the rhythm of death itself breathing down your neck. You laugh. It's the manic, hoarse laugh of a man with nothing left to lose. You've bet your life in this game with chaos, and the stake is nothing more than the right to see one more gray dawn. And then, after 3 months of hell, it rises before you. The town. To the townsfolk, it's a bastion of civilization. To you, it's a festering sore on the body of the plains, a place where the mud never dries. You ride in, coated in a crust of dust, sweat, and dried cattle blood. You smell so bad that decent women turn away, and they're right. You carry the scent of a wild, unrefined life that is alien and repulsive to them. You collect your pay, a wad of crumpled, filthy bills, the price of your life for the past season. You look at them and feel no joy, only emptiness. These papers won't buy back a night without nightmares. They won't heal your back. First thing is the bath. The hot water in the tin tub turns into black sludge the second you sit in it. You look at your hands without the gloves. They're white as a dead man's where the sun couldn't reach them. You feel like a stranger in this body that has served you so long, but now feels broken and useless outside of a saddle. Then the saloon. You order whiskey. Local swill they call snake poison. It could dissolve copper. It sears your throat, numbing your brain, momentarily erasing the gnawing ache inside. Noise is everywhere. Out-of-tune piano notes, men brawling over a card table, girls in cheap corsets laughing too loud and too fake, their eyes as vacant as a dead fish. You buy one of them for an hour, not for the sex, just to feel the warmth of another human being, to convince yourself you haven't turned to stone yet.
You lie with her in a dark room, listening to a clock tick on the wall, and you realize tomorrow you'll spend your last cents and ride back into the void. Because out there, amidst the dust and the wind, you at least understand the rules of the game. Here, you're just a wild animal in a cage of boards and bricks. You don't belong to this world. You look at yourself in the murky mirror above the bar. The man looking back isn't a day over 35, but the eyes belong to a 100-year-old man who has seen too many sunrises and far too much blood. Your face is a road map of wrinkles born not from laughter, but from a constant squint against the sun and the gale. Gray has already salted your temples, though you haven't even reached half the span allotted to a man. Your body, once lithe and iron strong, now feels like a suit of worn-out harness leather. Your knees throb with a rheumatism. Your fingers are gnarled. They ache with every movement, especially in the mornings. Buttoning your shirt is a small battle you fight every day. Your lungs, saturated with dust and campfire smoke, can no longer hold enough air. You cough often, and sometimes the red stain on your palm reminds you of the inevitable. Your teeth are individual stories of pain. Many are gone, others loose, the rest stained yellow and rotted long ago. The taste of food is dulled, while the usual bland fare tastes like cardboard. Your friends, they stayed out there on the plains, under unmarked stones or no stones at all. Died from an outlaw's lead, a rattler's bite, a cursed fever. You are one of the few left. It only increases the burden of loneliness and the realization that you've merely delayed the unavoidable. You are a living ghost walking the earth, a reminder of those already gone.
You don't know how many days or nights are left. You don't know where your trail ends. Tomorrow might bring a new job on a ranch, or a bullet in the back over an old grudge, or just a peaceful end under a lonely cottonwood tree. Every breath is a gift you accept without thanks. Every step is a victory won over death, over exhaustion, over yourself. You watch the sunset. The sky is on fire as if the whole world is being consumed. In that fire, you don't see the promise of a new day. You were part of this landscape. You were the dust that rises from the earth and settles back upon it. You were the wind whispering through the grass, the stories of forgotten men. Your story won't be written in books. It won't be told around campfires, unless your horse learns to talk. It won't become a legend, but it is engraved upon this land, in every crack of the stone, in every blade of dry grass, in every grain of sand, in the dust, in the blood, in the silence of the infinite prairies. Your path wasn't toward glory or gold. It was a path toward oblivion. You were a cowboy, and that is your whole life. Your hands, your eyes, your heart, your horse, your revolver. That's all you ever had. And when the last ray of sun slips behind the horizon, you will continue your ride into the dark, knowing that you lived by your own rules, amidst the dust and the wind, to the very end. And that, perhaps, is the only true freedom. Subscribe to the channel, and if you like it, write in the comments which life we'll live next time.